We'll start the session with the prayers. Om Sahana Bhavato Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. The 10th chapter of Panchadasi highlights two important features of Atma. Number one, Atma is self-evident, shining principle. It does not require any other source for existence and for consciousness. That is point number one. The second point this chapter highlights is Atma is of the Swarupam of Avyavaharyam. Avyavaharyam is one of the attributes of Atma mentioned in Mandukya Upanishad. And that is what Vidyaranya Swami emphasizes in this chapter. So we have seen several verses trying to focus our attention on these two aspects of Atma. Today we will continue where we left last week, the 24th verse. And this verse I will just play the verse so that you can see what is the continuation which we have.
Katham tangrumaya grahya iti chenmaiva gruhyatam sarvagrahopam samshamto swayameva vasishyate.
So what does it say in this mantra? If the self or Atma cannot be grasped by the sense organs or mind, how do I know that it exists? That is the question which a student asks the teacher. Here the teacher says, don't worry, when the duality of the triputi operation in the waking or dream or in these two states, when it drops, automatically the Atma is known. You don't need anything else. There is no instrument required to know Atma. To know the world, we require the instrument of the body, the sense organs. We need the eyes, we need the ears, we need the skin, we need the tongue, we need the nose. These are the 5 instruments we all have. These instruments tell us about the world, which consists of Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. Atma is none of this. Atma is the substratum. It is the substratum from which the entire body, mind, and the world are perceived. And again, they all go back to the substratum in our Sushupti Avastha. We are going to see in meditation today this aspect, very, very important aspect. If you can catch this, then realization is very, very simple. So we have said that the mind consists of two parts. One is the pramata portion, which is the subject aspect. The subject is basically the reflection of consciousness in the mind. It is a temporary status of Sakshi. Please understand this very carefully. If you understand the operation of how the mind works, you will not miss the Sakshi. So, the mind itself becomes the subject, the agent for all the transactions. The mind also is a pramanam. It's an instrument. So it has got a dual role. It is the pramata and it is the pramanam. The pramanam, how does it become a pramanam? When the sense organs are bringing the inputs into the mind interacts through the sense organs of knowledge and action, and again goes back to the world. So while functioning as an instrument, it uses the organs of knowledge and organs of action. When it is not using the organs of action and organs of knowledge, it remains as a subject. That is why we say there is a triputi involved: pramata, pramanam, and prameyam. We have seen this last week. I will go to where we stopped last week. So we have said that when the pramana operations stop, Atma reveals itself as the ultimate essence of the whole creation. By now, I'm sure each one of you have got a glimpse into the Atma. Each one, all of us are the same. The same Atma is being described and it's being revealed to us. Now, in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna tries to bring out the same truth in some paradoxical verses. Paradox means he will say something and then he will negate whatever he has said. Look at these verses. Maya tathamidam sarvam jagata vyaktamurtina mastani sarva bhutani nachaham teshvavastitaha. So in this verse, Lord Krishna says that the whole world is pervaded by me. That means I am in the world. So, and he says that all beings exist in me, which means in the lower nature of the Lord, he pervades the whole universe. And all the beings exist in the Lord. Here the Lord can be used like, can be depicted in the form of the reflected consciousness. So in the reflected consciousness, all the beings exist. And without this reflected consciousness, there is no world. The whole world is projected in that reflected consciousness, which is available in the mind. Nachamastani bhutani pashyame yogamaishwaram bhuta varnacha bhutastaha mamatma bhuta bhavanaha. Then he says, Lord Krishna says, actually speaking, the beings don't exist in me. Do being exist in me? They don't exist in me. How do we solve this paradox? In one statement, he says, yes, all beings are in me. In another statement, he says, no, no beings are in me. This paradox is easily solved. Whenever you have a paradoxical situation in the Bhagavad Gita, always remember you have to bring the dream and the waker example. Can we say that the waker is pervading the whole dream? Yes. The whole dream exists because of the waker's mind. The mind of the waker projects the dream, and then the waker, in ignorance of the waker, the whole projection takes place. But the waker, is he away from the dream? Can he exist independent of the dream? Yes. In the waking state, the waker exists without the dream world. So the waker is supposed to be the paramarthika status compared to the dreamer. Similarly, we have to imagine the state of Atma, which is turiya Atma. And from the perspective of turiya Atma, the pure Atma, where it can exist by itself, we say that the entire waking state does not exist in that state of pure consciousness. So remember, to solve is always try to use these two levels of reality. Many a times in Vedanta, you will come across such situations where you get cornered. In Upanishads, in many Upanishadic statements, you will find the same problem. And these problems are all taken up in Brahma Sutra. All the problems in the first chapter of Brahma Sutra, all these Upanishadic statements are taken up one by one, one by one, one by one. And then they are analyzed, and then most of them you'll find that the paradox is because of the two levels of existence. If you have understood this, then everything, all other verses becomes easy. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashaha ahamkara vimudhatma kartarhameti manyate. At the lower level, in the waker's level, the ego I, which is a reflected consciousness, together with the mind, it becomes the doer, it becomes the agent. Forgetting that this ego cannot exist without that pure consciousness. That is the ignorance. And the whole Vedanta which we learn is to remove that ignorance of the waker. Sleeper cannot have ignorance because that you can't do anything about it. It is natural. Dreamer has ignorance, but that is also natural. You cannot do anything of the ignorance in those two states. The only state where we can remove the ignorance is the waking state. In the waking state, I learn to drop that all the interactions are done by the ego I. I have nothing to do with the ego I. I am all pure consciousness, existence principle. But who is acting then? It is Prakriti. Prakriti means nature. It is operating, the sense organs are made up of the three gunas, the sense objects are made of the three gunas, and interaction is going on. Tattva vittu mahabhavo guna karma vibhagayoho guna guneshu vartante iti matva na sajjate. So the divisions which we see of the actor, the acted upon, the seer, the seen, the seeing action, all this is nothing but the gunas. It is the senses which are moving to the sense objects, and the mind gets responses and interacts with the world. That's all. Why all this is happening? The scriptures tell us very, very simple truth. It is all as per the law of karma. So understanding this truth principle, we should free ourselves from the bondage of the sense organs and the mind. They will still continue to act in the world. We will still be facing joys and sorrows in life, but cognitively, we will be free. Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam gunakarma vibhagashaha tasya kartarapi bhavan vidya kartarapi mabhyayam. Here the Lord says that the whole world is divided into 4 types of people according to the gunas. And as per the gunas, people act in the world. We know the 4 varnas: Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. So they all are as per a plan. There is a master plan which is happening in the world. Everything is in order. If you really watch nature, you'll find a tremendous amount of order in this creation. The sunrise, the sunset, precisely at the same time the sun rises, same time the sun sets. There is darkness, there is light. All the people, they go to sleep, they all get into tamasic nature. Again, they become rajasic, they become sattvic. This is a cycle. Karmanya karmaya pashyed akarmani cha karmayaha sabuddhiman manusyeshu sayukta krishna karma krita. So a person who recognizes inaction in action. See, these are all tongue twisters, how you should be able to understand and open up these mantras. Very important portion of the 4th chapter, which talks about mental sannyasa. So if you say, I am not acting, the sense organs are acting with the sense objects, then you are very clear that you are the Sakshi, you are not the doer of actions. Actions will go on. You will still see the actions, but you will see inaction in action. That is the first portion. By purely sannyasa of the mind, renunciation of the mind. And action and inaction is seen by the wise people. Action and inaction means what? When the inaction is when we are all sleeping to our nature. In that, what happens? The wise man knows that he is the Sakshi of the restful state in our restful state of the mind. So yogi is one who is a true performer of all actions, and he knows exactly the interaction between the sense organs, mind, and the world. Atma is the uncaused, unrelated, independent principle. There is no cause for Atma. In the Vyavaharika world, in the transactional field, in the waking state, there is a cause, there is an effect. The parents are the cause, the children are the effect. The seed is the cause, the tree is the effect. Everything you will find a cause and you will find an effect. But at the higher level, there is no cause for Sakshi. For Atma, there is no cause. It is a causeless cause. It is a cause in which, when we say that the world is existing, the existence principle is lent by that Atma. Exactly like the waker lends his consciousness, he lends his existence to the dreamer. Atma is not shunyam, it is really realizable. Many people, they feel that in nothingness, in the sleep state, how can I realize something? The scriptures have a beautiful method. Just follow the logic of the scriptures and you will realize the self. Knowledge consists of two parts, paravidya, aparavidya. Paravidya is the knowledge of Atma. It can never be known like the objective science. Aparavidya is objective science, which the five sense organs perceive whatever they perceive. That is what is called as aparavidya, including the body itself, including the mind itself. That is why they say that if you see something, that is not you. Yadrishyam tat jadam. And tat jadam tannashwaram. Tannashwaram tat mithya. Asat. That logic you should remember. Chandogya Upanishad also, Narada is the student in Chandogya Upanishad. And there the teacher he tells him that all the Veda is only name. Be it Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda, Atharvana Veda, or be it the Puranas, history, Itihasa, or grammar, mathematics, science, and what lies under the ground, geology, logic, moral science, astrology, all of them, they are only names. They cannot, they are the objects. If there is an object in the world, there is a name given to it. Even if the scientist discovers the internet, the word internet comes in. Wi-Fi, internet, web, all these were not existing 50 years ago, 60, 100 years ago. But then these are new names given to new creations. So all these are names, but they are not the substratum. If I am human, world appears to be human. If I am Sakshi with reference to all the objects known, then I remain unknown, but as the substratum. So in the Adhyasa Bhashyam, which I'll be taking up on Saturdays, which I've started. I mean, I've started the first session. For those who, I've never taken Adhyasa Bhashyam for the Wednesday group. So for those people who are interested in the Adhyasa Bhashyam, please come to the Saturday or register and see the videos whenever you have the time. I've never taken Adhyasa Bhashyam. It's a very important topic, very difficult topic to teach also, but I'm going to give it a try. And if you understand Adhyasa, then everything in Vedanta becomes very easy. So there, Shankaracharya says, Manushya, I am human being, is the Prathama Adhyasa, the first Adhyasa, first superimposition. Which is what, when we get up in the morning, the first thing we realize is, I am this body. This body means I'm a human being. Prathama Adhyasa. Through this body, I get all other types of superimpositions. My car means the car belongs to this body. I am life, being, existence, absolute, in which world appears and disappears. What is that absolute I, in which there is no I notion? I notion comes only when the mind is active. When mind is passive, the I notion is gone. At that time, what is the status of the jiva? Is he the body? No. Is he the mind? No. And that is where Veda comes and reveals the truth. He is the Atma. Only we remove the layers of clouds covering the sun to see this Atma. We remove the Panchakoshas. That is the cloud. That is the Adhyasa. Throughout Atma Bodha, Shankaracharya brings several examples of Adhyasa. Every example in Atma Bodha is nothing but Adhyasa. Again and again, he bangs us. If you recall, you will remember Atma Bodha is nothing but Adhyasa. Reflection in the water, the clouds moving, and we saying it is the moon moving. All these are all Adhyasas. So what do we say? What is the conclusion of this particular verse? Sakshi is inconceivable by the mind. It's indescribable by words. Therefore, don't try to grasp the Sakshi. In all Vyavahara, triputi is involved. Triputi means mind is involved. Sakshi remains when triputi is folded up in the sleep state. Sakshi remains, the remainder. Every day we are in our own nature. At the time of sleep, we are with our own nature. The entire waking state is a state of ignorance. Ignorance about my real nature. The dream state is a state of ignorance. And of course, Sushupti is a state of ignorance. What lies beyond this ignorance is the Atma, which is the truth of this entire cosmos. I own up that as my intrinsic nature. Sakshi is not a prameyam. It is not an object of the senses. When knowledge operations end, what is left behind is this Sakshi. Sakshi is not participant in transactions, but it is the illumining principle. It illumines the sense organs, the body, the world, and all the transactions, like the light which you have seen in the 10th chapter. Light in the hall. So the pramata, a temporary knower, gets resolved in the sleep state. The reflected chidabhasa, chit abhasa, the reflected consciousness gets resolved in the sleep state. The knower is only when the knowing transactions are there in the waking state. Sakshi, like the illumining light of the hall, is left behind without the objects, beings, or the dance program in the hall. Nidra is a natural state. Sleep state is natural state. Nobody has to do anything. Everybody just lies down and one goes to sleep. It is a tamasic guna. In samadhi, we deliberately try to make our mind empty. Slowly, we try to take out each thought, throw it out, throw it out, throw it out. But Nidra is a natural state where it is a natural samadhi state. So Sakshi is the ultimate consciousness which is left behind when there are no transactions of the sense organs with the world. Vyavritti means transactions, that is the Vyatireka, changing nature. Anuvritti means Anvaya. So by Anvaya Vyatireka method, Anuvritti means it is the changeless nature of consciousness. The consciousness has got two natures, changeless and changing. When it is in the world of objects, it is changing. By itself, it is changeless. So that was about the 24th verse. Now let us try to see the 25th verse. Very beautiful verse.
न तत्र मानापेक्षास्ति न तत्र मानापेक्षास्ति स्वप्रकाशस्वरूपतः स्वप्रकाशस्वरूपतः तादृग्व्युत्पत्त्यपेक्षा चेत् तादृग्व्युत्पत्त्यपेक्षा चेत् श्रुतिं पठ गुरोर्मुखात् श्रुतिं पठ गुरोर्मुखात्.
So what is said in this verse is, suppose for example you are not convinced of the self-luminous nature of Sakshi and its existence, which the Shruti says there is no proof required. The only proof for the existence of Sakshi is the Shruti. Shruti means the Upanishads, primarily the Upanishads. Bhagavad Gita is also there because Gita is the essence of the Upanishad itself. And we know there are 1,180 Upanishads, and so the whole thing about Upanishads we know. So, if one hears this from a spiritual teacher, because a spiritual teacher is one who not only knows the Shastra, but he is also a realized master. He knows that that is his inner essence. And a living master can explain the truth to another person, to another living person who can hear. Atma is self-luminous in its nature. Hear the instruction of Shruti from a spiritual guru. In silence, when the knowing process has ended, you yourself remain as non-knowing principle. Non-knowing, that means you don't know anything as consciousness, but you exist. That is why we say Atma is where na anyat shrunoti, na anyat vijanati. Sabhoma, chapter 7 of the Chandogya Upanishad. Very beautiful mantra. Atma consciousness is the turiya avastha, where one does not experience anything. There is no shabda, sparsha, rupa, rasa, gandha. World is not there, but it alone is. Self-shining, it alone is. That is the Brahman. That is the pure nature of mind, which I have to learn from the Guru. Not knowing this real nature without the knower status, that you are the silence in the Sakshi, you are the Sakshi principle. That is why in Dakshinamurti Dhyana Shlokam you have Mauna Vyakhyanam. Dakshinamurti remains silent. At the same time, he can teach, like Ramana Maharishi. People went to him, he remained in silence. When people were with him, all their thoughts died down. There was nothing. And automatically the oneness is revealed. Whatever, nobody says during silence, I'm not existing, like in sleep state. Nobody says I was not there. Everybody says, yes, yes, I was there, of course. Whatever is accepted without requiring proof, that is what is called as swayam prakasha, self-shining. In this whole 10th chapter, 26 verses, we should remember the swayam prakasha is the key word. Avyavaharyam and swayam prakasha. If I am not there in a room, I can't talk of emptiness in the room. If I am not there in Sakshi, in the sleep state, I can't talk about silence on waking up. Everybody says, I was there, but I didn't experience anything. I didn't experience anything, I was there. Who was there? That is the question we must ask ourselves. That who is Sakshi, which is pure Sat, without the world of names and forms. That is the pure Ananda. All of us, we say, I experienced Ananda in sleep. It was without any objects of the world. I had that blissful experience. That is the real Ananda of Atma, in which the wise man revels in. Prajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogatan. That is the Atma in which the wise people revel. My existence is self-evident in silence, in that pure, absolute silence. No pramanam is required. In sleep, triputi is resolved. I am there as the witness of silence. That I is different from triputi. It is not known by any other means except the Shastra. And all we have to do is just claim that nature as mine. That's all. Aham Brahma Asmi. Aham Satchidananda Swarupa Asmi. The pramana is a means of knowledge, both for internal perceptions, inferences, or external. There are two types of pramanam. The means of knowledge can be either internal perceptions, that means the 5 sense organs of perception, or it can be inference. We can have knowledge in these two methods. And then there is external method, which is the Shastra, Shruti, the words of the Shruti. And generally they say Anumana, Arthapatti, Anupalabdhi are inferences. They all come under the category of inference. Whereas Pratyaksham, which includes perception of all the 5 sense organs, that is different than Anumana. That is direct perception. Inference is an indirect means of knowledge. Shruti is a direct means of knowledge because it is telling me about my own nature, which is self-evident. Atma is not known by perception or inference. It is known by the Shastra, Shabda, external source. Mana Peksha. In this, I'm trying to explain the verse meaning now. Mana Peksha means Laukika words. Can't describe Atma. It can describe everything about the world, but not the subject. Natatra mana apeksha asti. To know the objects, we need a pramanam. We need the instrument of knowledge. Whereas the being is knowing, it is the self itself. Swaprakashe swarupataha. It is self-evident, existent. Ahamasmi sadabhami. I exist and I always shine. This is what we call it as our real nature. I exist, I shine. I exist, I am conscious. I exist, I am conscious. That is our real nature. I am a male, I am a female, I'm a teacher, I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer. All this is only in the waking state when we use the body and the mind. But our continuous nature, invariable, changeless nature, asti bhati. I am existent and I am conscious. It has never left us since birth. Yesterday, day before yesterday, 1 week ago, 10 years ago, we were Sat and Chit. And Ananda. It is hidden. This is consciousness, which is hidden principle in this body. It can be known only from the Shastra. It cannot be known any other way. We experience the world, we experience our life. It is an incidental nature, satisfying the law of karma. Sukham and dukham will come and go, but it is unreal. Tadruk Yutpatya apeksha chet Shruti patha guru mukhad. This Swata Siddham, timeless, spaceless, shining nature of Atma, which is only one, it's a direct knowledge of the world which we get through Atma. I know I am. Atma is aprameya. What it says here is, listen to this from a guru. Shruti Patha. Shruti Patha means you study the Upanishads from a guru. If you try to learn the Shruti yourself, 90% of the time, 99% of the times, you will not understand. You require somebody to explain to you so that you can understand the deeper meaning of it. See, you can never understand the deepest meaning of the Shruti by studying yourself. Never try. Very difficult. That is why it's called Shruti. Shruti means heard. You have to hear it. I know I am. Atma is aprameya. Aprameya means it is not an object of senses. It is not available for any pramanam except the Shruti pramanam. If somebody has not studied Vedanta, you cannot accept that he knows his nature. He can be very successful. She can be very successful in life. President of a country, president of so many countries. It's possible, but not knowing his own nature. That is what Narada was told by Sanat Kumara, his guru. You have known the entire cosmos, the objective sciences, but you are still having sorrow because you don't know that self in which the whole cosmos is rising and setting. And then he gave this Bhuma Vidya to Naradaji. 7th chapter of the Chandogya Upanishad. Very beautiful chapter. Very, very, that state of Atma where you don't see anything. Very, very beautiful, important verse. Remember that word. Na anya shronoti, na anya janati. So what we need to do is just remove the dust of the impurities from our mirror, which is the mind. The vasanas are the dust. The vasanas are the impurities which make this entire life happen. Without vasanas, there is no life. Again, we take birth only because of vasanas. Remember law of karma, sanchita, prarabdha, agami. You polish sandalwood, you get the fragrance. Similarly, when you polish your mind, you get the fragrance of Atma. It shines when you remove that impurities by the study of Panchadasi, or the Upanishads, or the Bhagavad Gita. Again and again study, again and again, let your mind keep on dwelling on this Atma. The more you dwell on the Atma, I can tell you for sure that you will realize this in this birth. No, you don't need to have another birth. You don't need to go to heaven. You don't need to go to another loka through upasana, through other methods. Study Upanishads. Go deep, dive deep into the meanings of these Upanishadic words or Panchadasi. Every chapter reveals the Atma. Study Shruti from a Guru, and the Shruti, and a Guru is important because he is another sentient being. You sit with an open mind, not for judging the Guru. Many students, they come for the class and say, oh, this, I want to see whether this person, this teacher, who is this teacher, does he know or he doesn't know? So if that is the attitude, you will be going wrong, because all the time your mind will be looking at all the faults which the teacher is making, rather than concentrating on the revelation of the truth. The teacher, every week, the teacher is trying to reveal the same truth again and again. The mind has to remove the impurities and see the truth as it is. As long as you're studying Panchadasi or the Bhagavad Gita or Upanishads, you cannot go wrong, because these are the pramanas for the knowing the real nature and to remove this sorrow in life. All definitions of self, they center around the ego. Abhimana vikshepa shanti is Shraddha. When ego is not there, the mind sees. Normally we say that when the ego is active, the mind doesn't see, because it is involved with the organs of knowledge and the action. That's why in meditation we quieten down the ego. And then the same mind which was involved as an instrument becomes an agent to see the subject. The mind is predominantly sattva-guna pradhana. Its nature is to know the truth. Its nature is to know the world and to know the truth. It is sattva pradhana. Tattva Bodha clearly says, mind is born from sattva-guna, prana is born from rajoguna. The combination of elements of the rajoguna aspect is the prana, which is the life factor, which is the physiological factor behind all the functions of the body. Without that, there is no power in the body. So keep the mind open. Without the wall of ego, you will gain insight automatically. That is what the Shruti says. That is what this verse is saying. Shruti is a pramana to eliminate all misconceptions about the Atma. So in conclusion, two questions come. How to know continuity when pramanams are not there? The answer is the Sakshi is self-evident, self-awareness. It is continuously there with or without the operations of the pramana. How do I know the surviving I? Is the Sakshi. It is not the sleeper I. Surviving I is the pure I. It is a Sakshi I. I am that consciousness. The answer to this question is, these are possible questions from a student. A thinking mind can throw up these questions. I am that consciousness, non-dual Brahman. Know that only from the Shastra, which says Brahma Aikyam. That means Jiva, which is one part of the seen world, Paramatma, which is the other part of the seen world, together they constitute the entire cosmos. There is a common element in between that Paramatma and Jivatma, which is the Atma, which is the consciousness. And that is revealed by the Shastra, the Upanishads. That is the only message they want trying to reveal. The Upanishad is only trying to tell you that I am the Sakshi, I am the pure consciousness. Sushupti Samadhi can't give Advaita Jnanam, but it's useful to know that I survive without transactions and the mediums. So in sleep state, what is the importance of analyzing the sleep state? The analysis is we analyze in the scriptures the sleep state only to know there is Advaitam. Non-dualness you can only know from the sleep state analysis. My real nature of non-duality. Non-duality means Advaita. Advaita means undifferentiated. I am pure undifferentiated consciousness. In the waking state, it is differentiated consciousness. I am different, you are different, world is different. But in sleep state, all of us experience the same oneness. That is number one. Second is, I survive without the medium. That is the second lesson which we get from the sleep state. Dakshinamurti Stotram also says, this is one of the beautiful mantras of Dakshinamurti. You can be anybody, but once your delusion is gone, then you are one with your nature. Deham pranendriyapi chalam buddhim cha shunyam viduhu stri balya. So this verse tells us that anybody can get this knowledge of Atma. You can be a dullard, but if you go to a guru, he can explain to you who you are. Self-awareness, self-evident, I am. Self-awareness is self-evident. That self-evident is the pure existence, which is I am. This continues in all the three states of waking, dream, and sleep, in the presence of pramanams, in the absence of pramanams. Atma is the Sakshi, which is existence, and it is Guna Atita, chapter 14 of the Gita. Whereas these three states are appearances with the gunas. Self-awareness is in Jagrat, but it is not actively present. Because the gunas, they cover it. In the sleep state, the world is dormant and it is registered, Sakshi is registered in a dormant mind. Therefore, analysis of the sleep as well as the waking and dream are very important. Mind in Karana Shariram, in unmanifest form, in that mind Karana Shariram, there is a vritti, I am. So where is this? See, ultimately, I am is also a vritti. It is not a Sukshma Sharira vritti, it is a Karana Sharira vritti. That is the difference you should know. Aham, 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 I am. It is not a Sukshma vritti. You can't see that. Whereas your own thoughts you will be able to see. See means know that I am having joyful thoughts. I'm planning now. I'm thinking about the house, about the business, about the medicine, so on. But I am, you can never experience it like the Sukshma Sharira vrittis. So when Rahu Grasta Divakendra Sadasha, this again Dakshinamurti, the sixth mantra. See, Dakshinamurti Stotram is such a powerful shloka. I keep saying that again and again. If you can understand the shlokam, it's really fantastic. All the important principles of Vedanta is all there. Sakshi in sleep recognizes on waking pratyabhijna. It's an important concept. Pratyabhijna means recognition. No pramanam is required for Sakshi. All pramanams are revealed by Sakshi. The 26th verse, I will try to make a beginning. I don't know whether I can end it today, but I will continue it next week. The 26th verse, let's see the chanting and we will see the meaning.
यदि सर्वग्रहत्यागो अशक्यस्तर्हि धियं व्रज अशक्यस्तर्हि धियं व्रज शरणं तदधीनो अन्तः शरणं तदधीनो अन्तः बहिर्वैशो अनुभूयताम् बहिर्वैशो अनुभूयताम्.
All these chantings are done by Vijaya, one of the class participants. She recently, I approached her. She recorded all the 26 verses and then she gave it to me. So very beautiful, very nice of her. We'll be using her chanting in the chapter 3 of Panchadasi, which we will start the following week. Not next week, maybe either next week or the following week. We'll see how it goes. Here in the last verse, if you find the renunciation of all the duality is impossible for you, see, so far, Vidyaranya Swami is telling us our nature is Advaitam. There is no duality. There is only you, the consciousness. Now, if we are not able to understand this clearly, what Vidyaranya says is, reflect in your own intellect the consciousness which is witnessing all the internal and external creations of the intellect. Suppose you're not able to understand and experience that Sakshi. Don't worry. Do only one thing. He says you just be a witness. Witness to everything. External creation, internal creation. External creation, we all know. The whole world is existing. Mountains, rivers, nature, temperature, seasons, everything is, you remain as a witness. And then what about your internal emotions? Be a witness there also. Two methods to realize Sakshi is renounce the perceptible duality. Number one. Number two, realize the witness consciousness, Sakshi, of all internal and external creations of the Buddhi. Because ultimately it is the whole world exists in our Buddhi. The Shruti is very clear. When the mind rises, the whole world comes. When the mind quietens down, the world is disappeared, unmanifest. Every day we have seen this. Only Shruti is revealing the nature of the world. I will continue this next week. Next week we'll finish this chapter. I will give a quick revision, very fast, and then we'll close the chapter number 10. My idea is to take chapter 3 after this. Chapter 3 is basically a very beautiful chapter talking about the Panchakoshas, how I can segregate the 5 koshas and see the Atma, which is Taittiriya Upanishad. Essence of Taittiriya Upanishad, if you have not done or you want to do it, you want to revise again, attend chapter 3, you'll be revising the whole Taittiriya Upanishad. Okay, so we'll do this last verse next week. Purnamada Purnamidam Purnahat Purnamudachade Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyade. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Okay, there's one question from Malati. She is saying, the knower in all the three states, is it turiya Atma? Yes, it is turiya Atma, but Vishwa is also a knower. The waker is also a knower. With reference to the waking state, we can say the waker is the knower. With reference to the dream state, we can say the dreamer is the knower. At the level of the state. But when you cross the state and go beyond it, then Atma, the turiya, is always the knower. It is the ultimate knower because all these three states, they are all absorbed, they all rest in Adhisthana Turiya. So when you are referring to yourself as the Turiyam, you can say, I am the ultimate knower. I am also beyond the knower. You see, knower principle comes only with the reference to a particular state. Yeah, Malati, go ahead.
Turiya is, although it is called as a fourth state, but everywhere it is said that it is not a fourth state. It is a natural state. So
Correct.
it is embedded in all waking, sleeping, and dreaming world. So Turiyam is not a fourth state. It is the natural state. It is said.
Correct,
So
correct. That's correct. It is not the fourth state. It is the only state. It is the only truth. You see, we have, when we use the words, when you say state, immediately the waking, dream, and sleep comes. So what you should say is, it is the truth. It is not the fourth state, but it is the truth, in which the three states, they come and go. That is why we call it Advaitam. There is no duality. In waking, there is duality. In dream, there is duality. In sleep, there is no duality. It's homogeneous mass. But we should not stop at the sleep state, because sleep is an ignorant state. Here I'm coming to live turiya avastha, turiyam nature, which is a live, alert, sentient consciousness. It is not ignorant. It is not an ignorant jiva. The jiva in the sleep state is ignorant. And this ignorance is the cause of the waking and dream. Very important point in Mandukya Upanishad. Ignorance is the cause. Therefore, anything in the dream world is, if you look at the cause, it is ignorance. That means you will not know what is the dream. You can analyze your dream for 100 years, but you will not know what is all this about. Similarly, you can analyze the waking for hours and years and years. You can analyze why this mother has come to me, why this sister has come to me, how come I am in this place. These are all questions. So don't analyze the state. Don't analyze these situations, events. Don't analyze. Don't waste your time, because you will not get an answer. Because it is all born of ignorance. If something is born of ignorance, it will have the quality of ignorance intrinsic to it. Gold will be there in all the ornaments, because that is the cause. So when I try to understand these 5 elements which are together and experiencing the world of emotions, thoughts, perceptions, don't analyze too much. Why? There is no question of why. The only thing is, I just say it is ignorance born. It will remain hidden to me. I will never know the truth of the waking world. I only accept and say all experiences I accept. Whether it's good, bad, I must have had a horrible day. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, say this is all an experience. That's all. My mind had to go through that experience. It went through it. Why there are so many factors connected with the why of every event. Therefore, it is not a single factor which controls it. If I'm rich, there is a reason behind it. There is some factors behind it. If I'm poor, there are certain factors behind it. If I'm in a certain country, there are certain factors behind it. I cannot analyze too much. So your question is clear. The answer is yes, you are right. It is a non-changing principle, which is the ultimate knower with reference to the world. But it is not a knower when it is with reference to itself. Okay, any other question?
Shekharji.
Yeah, Shama, tell me.
Hari Om. Just 2 points. One is just for the last time, it's to do with the terminologies that are used.
Yes.
So when we in our Vedanta, when we refer to knowledge and ignorance, we are referring only to the knowledge of the Atman. Is that correct?
No. We are okay. Knowledge.
So if I'm
okay.
ignorant, means I don't know the Atman.
Correct. Yes.
So jnani or jnani.
Yes.
The difference is between somebody who knows the Atman versus somebody who doesn't know.
Correct.
So ignorance and knowledge. So quite clearly, it is not referring to what we might then have to say that perhaps all other learning, the so-called secular learning or in our transactional world, they are called vidya. Am I right? Vidya.
Vidya. Okay.
Vidya, this vidya, that vidya, it's different. So learning. So that is really referring to learning. It is not referring to jnanam. Jnanam is only referring to the Atma Jnanam.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And then in the realm of the vidya, we have a vidya maya and an avidya maya, so you may have a maya where in our mind we are totally unaware of anything about the shastras.
Correct.
We are totally knowing only the material world.
Yes.
But if I know something about the shastras or the Atma Jnanam, something about knowing, but not actually known, then I'm in a Vidya Maya. I'm still in the world of Maya.
Correct.
But I've got Vidya Maya.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then the second point is, would this be a kind of a right analogy? Like I am in this bhavasagar of this time and space in the river of, it's a continuous river. I'm in a boat.
Yes.
The boat here is my own body and mind.
Yes.
The boat. Yeah. Where the Atman is sitting, or maybe it's like the Ratha of the Kathopanishad. So it could be any one of them. So the Atman. And the question then is everyone, whenever we are in our sleep state, Sushupti state, are we regularly going into our, our true awareness, true, all of us, we are going into where we are truly devoid of the mind and body. I am actually in my the turiyam state,
Okay.
or
Okay.
maybe not.
Okay, I will answer your second question first. The second question is, does everybody go to that restful state of turiya in sleep?
Correct.
The answer is yes. The answer is yes, because the Upanishads declare that. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Prashna Upanishad, they have Chandogya Upanishad, all these three Upanishads, they clearly state that who we are in our sleep state is our real nature. Here, don't confuse between a jnani and ajnani.
Yeah.
Ajnani thinks he is sleeping. Jnani thinks that he is awake to the sleep state. See, that is you should draw the difference there. You have the cap of the Shruti. With the cap, or with the light of the Shruti, now you are analyzing your sleep state. So if you have the cap of the Shruti, then you will be saying, I am in my Thuriyam state. Suppose you don't wear this cap. You will say, I just went to sleep. There is nothing else. So even though you are in your,
you're not aware of
state, it. You're not aware. That is where the knowledge and ignorance makes a huge difference.
And the fact that, so I'm just really now drawing.
Okay, I will tell you one more thing which we learn in Vichara Sagara. I'm just drawing something from Vichara Sagara. In Vichara Sagara, this will help you also. There is an analysis of jnanam. Okay, the jnanam, knowledge, is divided into two. One is called as vritti jnanam.
Okay.
And the second is called as swarupa jnanam. Whenever you are using the mind, it is apara vidya, it is vritti jnanam.
Vritti jnanam, yeah.
Any knowledge which comes from a thought born, mind born, is not the, it is an error, it is a wrong, it is not knowledge at all. It is vritti, it will remain, it is transient, it is not eternal, it is fleeting, it will go away, it is mithya. All vritti jnana is mithya.
Yeah.
Swarupa jnanam is not vritti jnanam.
Yes, yes.
Swarupa jnanam is the jnanam of Atma alone, nothing else in the world.
Yep, yep.
And Swarupa jnanam is given to us only by the Shruti, not by the mind. So whenever you say, I have this jnanam, that jnanam, that jnanam, you are making, it is that particular knowledge is coming in front of a vritti.
Right.
It is an objective science.
Yeah.
So whenever you are trying to claim your nature, you must say, this is Swarupa jnanam of myself. Swarupa means it is nature. Nature means it cannot be changed.
Correct. Yeah.
Whatever cannot be changed is called as nature. It is called as Swarupam. And that is revealed by the Shruti as Satyam, Jnanam, Ananta.
Yeah, just one more question.
It is not a Vritti Jnanam.
Correct.
Okay, with this understanding of Swarupa Jnanam and Vritti Jnanam, a lot of your delusions will go away.
Correct, correct. Thank you. Just one more question.
Yeah.
And this is an experiential one. So,
Experiential is only with reference to Vritti Jnanam.
Vritti Jnana. But even so, what I want to speculate that there are times when, you know, we may not be aware, because obviously I'm not a jnani, but there are times when you wake up in the morning,
Yeah.
and you are quite effortlessly, you're not thinking about, you know, Atman or whatever, but you're very effortlessly into that very blissful state, you know, which
Yes.
is, if you cannot explain it, why are you
Yes.
happy? You know,
That is the alertness of the Swarupa Jnanam.
which you might have, you know, so why is it sometimes there and sometimes not? Because apparently you slept, but maybe I can speculate that there are times when you think you've slept, but you have actually not really slept. You more or less may have spent the whole night dreaming and coming out and dreaming and this thing. So you've really not had a good deep sleep. I'm just thinking whether would that be an explanation as to why.
See, even that, that's the, this experience of the blissful experience when you get up, it is still a reflection of Atma on a sattvic mind.
Correct. Okay.
It lasts only for a short period of time.
Yeah, yeah.
It doesn't remain.
Uh-huh.
The moment your mind starts identifying with the body, that is gone.
Correct. And this idea of the nididhyasana or the dhyanam, where we are obviously in a wakeful state, like you've just done a meditation, we are actually trying to bringing the recollection of what we might have had in the sushupti state.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, okay.
That is what, because you're still in the waking state, you're not in the sleep state, you're not in the dream state, you're in the waking state, you're using your mind to go to something which is beyond the mind.
Okay. So therefore, that way, and back again to experiential, so that way, most of us in our normal transactional world, we are living in three states. One is a pure physical material state.
Yes.
The other is in our intellectual state, which can be kind of thought of as the mind state, you know, for attending Vedanta, mind state. Yes. And the other is the spiritual state. Correct. Which the more we are in a wakeful dhyanam state for however we achieve it, then you are into a spiritual state or a spiritual mood, you can call it whatever.
Yeah, whatever you can call it. Correct. That is what the Upanishads are making you go in that direction. See, that is not a normal direction of the mind. You're reversing the direction of the mind from the external world, external thoughts, into an internal spiritual world.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Okay, and this direction is what will take you to the ultimate truth. We all learn through the scriptures. For example, we do the chapter 3 of Panchadasi. Again, our mind will be taken up through another mode. Again, back to the same Atma.
But the beauty of this is, it is almost like using a marker. You know, in science, we use the marker. So this is, if I find myself during the daytime, during my wakeful time, if I'm finding my mind more or less in that very nice, peaceful, blissful state, in my spiritual mood, I can think I'm progressing in the right direction.
Absolutely, you're right. Yeah? You are progressing if you are in that state and you enjoy it more and more.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
There's no reason for it, it is just happening. There's no reason for it, it is just happening.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, good, very good.
Shekharji, Hari Om.
Tell me.
Yeah, you have explained that triputi concept.
Yeah.
So in this, supposing in a garden I see a flower
Yes.
by rose. So I have two options, whether to see it and go away or to pluck it and use it the way I want.
Yeah.
Now the question is, my understanding based on the triputi definition which you are given is that I am able to see the rose and see the color and feel the smell of it because of my mind, right?
Yes.
Then
The mind is active. The mind
Mind
and
is
the sense organs are active.
active, and
Yes.
because of the mind, eyes are telling that this is a rose, this is the
Correct.
color, this is the
Yes.
smell
Yes.
of it.
Yes.
And again, the mind is telling, okay, just pluck it and throw it away.
Yes.
And like that mind is, so your mind is acting like a pramana and also as a pramada. Is my understanding the practical example correct with the concept which you explained?
No, the moment you pluck it,
Yeah.
you are getting into the field of likes and dislikes.
Okay.
The moment you see a rose as a
because of the
rose,
mind,
no, suppose you see the rose as a rose, you should say, my eyes are seeing a rose, and there is perception going on. That's all. There is no likes and dislikes.
Right.
Suppose I say this rose is yellow rose, but I really like a red rose.
Right.
Means your mind has started with raga and dvesha.
Right. No, my query is,
what Bhagavad Gita says is perceive the world as it is without your raga and dvesha.
yeah.
Then you are in the Ishvara's world.
Right. No, my query is, I can pluck the rose and throw it away. One can pluck the flower and offer it to the god actually.
Okay.
So this decision is taken by the mind only.
Yeah, it is taken by the mind, yes.
So because of the mind, I am seeing the flower.
Yeah,
and also because of the mind only, I am deciding what to do with the flower.
Correct. That's
right.
right.
Or to keep.
Yes.
So this mind is working in two ways here.
Yes.
It is prompting you to see a particular thing, and also
Correct.
post action also the mind is doing. That's what we explained as pramana and pramada.
Yes, that's correct. Pramata and pramana.
Pramana, yes. That's what I just want to correct.
Yeah, you are right. You are right in understanding.
Thank you, Hariom. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. See, these are all the subtle points of the operation of a mind. And all this can be taught only with reference to Atma. Without the Atma, you cannot teach the operations of the mind, the buddhi, ahankara. All this is only with reference to the changeless Atma, the Sakshi. Anyway, we'll study more and more detail when we are doing the other chapters. Anybody else has a question? Okay, if there are no questions, we'll continue next week. Next week, we'll finish this chapter, and then the following week, we'll start chapter 3. Thank you. Good night. Namaste.
Namaste. Hariom, Shekari. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shekari.
Thank you. Rohit.